The Black Knight. Chapter 6. Rolled Black and the Black Knight. Ryan fell on top of Rolled Black, sending them both flying backward across the platform on the chair's four wheels. The rifle went off, once and then twice, and drowned out Karen's high-pitched screams. Both bullets missed Ryan as his hands grappled for the rifle's muzzle. The chair rebounded off the wall and sent them both onto the steel floor. Black screamed, Ryan wrenching the weapon from his hands. Ryan knew exactly where to go after he had the gun in his arms. He drove the butt end into Rolled's wounded leg, the crunch of the killer's knee all too real in Ryan's ears. Black squealed, throwing a punch into Ryan's jaw. Ryan fell off him with a spinning head and glazed eyes. Rolled threw a kick with his good leg and planted his toe into Ryan's breast. Then Rolled crawled backward as Ryan lay on the ground fighting for his air. The rifle was forgotten by his side, but Rolled wasn't reaching for it. He was listening as the front gates of the Two Gardens amusement park swung open with a prolonged squeak. Rolled turned to crawl off the platform and found Cody standing in his way, wearing a determined scowl. On his hands and knees, Rolled peered up at the kid, who was now much taller than him. He attempted a smile, but the gesture did little to prevent Cody from kicking him directly in the face, so that blood spurted like hose water onto the floor. The killer's scream was muffled as Cody kicked again, this time in the ribs. Rolled curled into the fetal position, coughing up red and glaring at Cody with defeated eyes. From behind him came the click of a rifle as it cocked. He turned his blood-streaked face into the line of the rifle's sight, and he laughed when he saw that Karen's finger was on the trigger. A long silence followed that was filled with Ryan's gasping breath. Then Rolled began to laugh harder, and the excess blood in his throat gargled with each distended breath. Karen continued to stand there, the gun trembling in her hands. "Here." Karen turned to look at Cody, now standing at her side. He held his hands out for the gun, and the grave expression on the young boy's face told Karen that he had to be the one to do it. She wanted to tell the kid that it was over, and that they didn't have to kill him. The police were there and could take him away forever, but a part of her knew that some things had to be dealt with at the source and in the right moment. There was no use for delay when dealing with this kind of monster. An eye for a head, as someone had once told her. Karen nodded and handed Cody the rifle. Rolled stopped laughing at once and growled at the child like an animal. Cody centered the gun against his shoulder, lined up the sight, and pulled the trigger. The killer's head was thrown back into the floor, a giant crater in his forehead. With lightning speed, the boy pulled back the hammer, lined up again, and sent a new bullet into the killer's neck. The boy set himself up with the third shot and blew another hole into Rolled's chest. He went for a fourth and fifth, and just when Karen thought there were no more bullets in the gun, Cody fired a sixth time. He then tossed the rifle onto the smoking body. "I made the call to the cops, but I just couldn't leave," Cody told Karen, tears filling his face. "I had to come back. I'm glad I did. 6 bullets for the 6 lives he took." Karen looked at Cody as his entire frame shook and his knees gave out from under him. She caught him around the arms and allowed him to clutch at her sleeves and bury his face in her stomach. At that moment, she knew that Cody could not take credit for killing Rolled Black. One look at the body was enough to raise enough questions. It didn't seem fair to show the world what a monster like Rolled Black could do to a child like Cody. It seemed easier to tell the police that she had put the killer down and had emptied the gun to do it. It seemed better that way. With that story, the kid could continue being just that, and she could be the responsible adult who had killed for self-preservation. She would become the killer if she needed to be. After what she had done to the other poor people who had died at the hands of Rolled, she already considered herself a murderer. It was just a matter of wearing the title now, and she was ready to be the world's hero, if need be. God knows that she didn't deserve it, and would have much rather had Ryan or Cody take the credit for saving the day, but she also suspected that she was saving them from the carnivorous feeding force of the media spotlight. If she wasn't strong, it would surely chew her up and spit out her bones in a way she challenged it. Yet after what she faced, the only thing that she really feared was death, and even that seemed like an old friend now, perched there on her shoulder and just out of sight. Along with the onslaught of police officers rushing onto the scene, flashlights spotting their vision, hands took theirs, and men's voices pulled them out of the darkness. Flashlights weren't enough to kill all the shadows, but they helped. Even in all the commotion, Ryan found Karen, and they were able to cling to each other for a moment, before they were torn apart again and escorted into the open doors of a waiting ambulance.